Welcome to episode 18 of the Mental Dietitian Podcast. Today, we've got a guest, Kevin Palmieri. He is an amazing human being. He's the CFO of Next Level University, which is a podcast, an amazing podcast. Him and his partner, Alan, just passed 1,000 episodes. They release an episode every single day that I can literally promise you will change your life with the amount of value that he adds, all the amazing insights that he has. He went from working construction to pursuing his dream, and now he gets to help other people pursue their dream, including me. He is my podcast coach. He is one of the main reasons why I'm actually talking to you right now, why you can hear me right now. And I've wanted to do this for a while, and I really wanted to share this with you. I think it's just going to blow your mind, and it's not going to be the first time that I talk to Kevin. So enjoy, guys. Enjoy this episode with my good friend, Kevin Palmieri. Welcome to the Mental Dietitian Podcast, Kevin Palmieri. I'm excited to have you, man.
Likewise, brother. Likewise. Hi, this is exciting for me to be on the other side, and I've heard some of the episodes. You usually go deep. I'm excited to go deep with you, my friend.
Cool. Well, for people that don't know who this man is, I wouldn't be doing this podcast if it wasn't for him. He is my podcast coach, and it's crazy how I got connected. A very good friend of mine, Gabe, he knew that I wanted to start a podcast, and he's like, "Hey, man, I listened to this episode with this guy, Kevin. I highly recommend you listen to it." And it was on one of his friends' podcasts. I've forgotten which one it was. It was a really good one. And I heard your story. I heard you just where you were at, like everything you were saying just made sense to me. I was like, I need to contact this guy. And I contacted you. And now I'm 17, 18 episodes in. And I consider you a good friend. And we've never met in person. You're literally on the other side of the United States. You're in New Hampshire, right?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, yep. You're on the East Coast. I'm in Vancouver, BC. And we're internet friends. And we get really deep. And we've had some really deep conversations. And I get to get coached by this guy. And I'm excited to have you on, man. I wanted to have you on for a while. And I just wanted to pick your brain about a few different things. But I know that we don't have a lot of time here. I really wanted to summarize your story, if you can, in like 5 minutes of where you were before you started podcasting, and then going into teaching people how to podcast and what you were doing in your life and where you are right now.
Absolutely. I can definitely do the 5-minute version. So one of the through lines of my story that I like to throw out there for context is I was raised by my mom and my grandmother. I didn't meet my dad until I was 27. So that has been a pretty instrumental part of my life, my story, my mission, dealing with my ego, all of those things. But after high school, all of my friends decided they were going to go to college. And I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew I didn't want to go to college. So they were out partying, meeting people, having what looks like the time of their lives. I was waking up at 5 a.m., going down to the town gas station and pumping gas from 6 until 2. And that was my full-time job. And I saw a lot of my old friends come in and get gas. And I was always super insecure that everybody else was crushing it. And I didn't feel like I was. And after that, I left that job and I was just job hopping. I drove a truck. I operated a forklift. I cleaned bathrooms and rooms in a hospital. I was on call on a fire department for a short time, construction, many, many, many different things. And I eventually got this job that was in the weatherization industry. And all that means is we would work in schools or state-owned buildings and make them more energy efficient. And if you fast forward to me in my mid-20s, I had what looks like the life of any young man's dream. This job was paying anywhere from $50 to $120 an hour, which is amazing. I had my dream car from high school when I was younger. My girlfriend was a model. I had just done a bodybuilding show, so I was in the best shape of my entire life. And by all outside standards, I was living the dream. But my girlfriend came to me one day and said, "Hey, I want to move across the country." So we lived on the East Coast. I want to go live in California and I want to chase my dreams. And I was so insecure. I was so lacking confidence. I had such a low level of self-esteem that I literally shot down her goals and her dreams and gave her every reason in the book why we could not move across the country and chase her dreams. And she came back to me a couple of weeks later and she left. She said, "Kev, I'm leaving you. You're not the man that you started this relationship as. and I want to go do my thing. And it's the best thing that has ever, one of the best things that's ever happened for me. And I know it was one of the best things that she could do for herself. So I'm happy that that happened. But when she left, that was rock bottom. How can anybody love me? I'm broken. I'm bruised. I'm scarred. I have all these parts of me that I don't love. What am I supposed to do? And I started self-improvement. I started positive affirmations. I started learning, but I tried to get right with myself. That was my initial thought was, if I can change the way I'm thinking about myself, I can change the results I'm getting in my life. And I would go to bed and I would say like 5 things before I went to bed every night. I'm talented, I'm handsome, I'm worthy, I'm intelligent. And this year I'm going to make the most money I've ever made in my entire life. And I thought that was going to fix the problem. I got a promotion the next year, call it the universe, call it God, call it timing, whatever. I ended up getting a promotion to a foreman. And that meant I was making more money because I was on the job from the very beginning to the very end. Fast forward to the end of that year, I had been on the road for 10 months. So I was living hotel to hotel out of a suitcase, and these were not nice hotels, for 10 months out of the year. And it was brutal. I was staying up for days on end. I was living on fast food. I was still hitting the gym. I was still trying to live a healthy lifestyle, but it was just, we were going out and partying a lot. I was drinking a lot. And I remember I had my last pay stub and I was standing at my kitchen table because my girlfriend took the chairs because they were hers. And I slid open my pay stub and I made $100,000 at 26 with no college degree, but nothing changed. It was the same thing of, I have a girlfriend, a car, money, this apartment, but I'm super insecure internally. Same thing happened. And I realized, okay, I just spent a year. I learned this lesson. What can I do with this lesson? So I did what anybody does. I started a podcast. I realized that for most of my life, I had been living unconsciously. What is the opposite of unconscious? Hyperconscious. So I started a podcast called the Hyperconscious Podcast. And almost overnight, I stopped caring about my job. I stopped caring about the money associated with it. And I wanted to pour into this new passion that I found that I really felt could help people. I felt like having that quote unquote success and figuring out that that was not success was a valuable lesson for me to share with other people. And I felt like I had the vulnerability to do it. And that became my passion project. And I started calling out of work. I would show up late. I would leave the job early. Eventually, it got to the point where I would have to be in New Jersey, which was a 6-hour drive from where I lived, at 7 a.m. on a Monday. I would sleep in my bed from 9 p.m. until midnight. I'd get up. I'd drive straight to the job site. I'd work an 8-hour day. And then I would go to the gym after. And then Fridays were the opposite. I'd get up. I'd go to the gym. I'd work an 8-hour day and then drive anywhere from 6 to 9 hours home, depending on traffic. And that was my life. And there was one morning where I was in a crusty hotel room in New Jersey and my alarm went off at 5:15. And I woke up and I slid to the edge of the bed and it's dark. It's cold. I don't want to be there. I'm lacing up my work boots. And the best way to explain it is there's 10 televisions on in my head at the same time. And every single one is on a different station. So it's just this overwhelming, distracting noise. And one of these stations is saying, you're stuck here forever. I know you want to leave this job, but too bad. Like, this is what you chose to do. You're never going to make this kind of money again because you got lucky to make this kind of money in the first place. What will your friends think if you leave this job? You make more money than anybody you know. What will your family think? They're very proud of you for accomplishing all these things. And then the loudest one for me was, do you really think you can be a successful podcaster? And I genuinely didn't. I did not know how to do it. I didn't think it was possible for me. And in that moment, I genuinely felt like if I was to take my life, I would take my problems with me. And that wasn't the first time I had those thoughts. That was probably the third or fourth. And I had already been to therapy and I just felt helpless and hopeless and stuck. And I'm very blessed because I happened to have a wonderful business partner who was just a really good friend at that time. I sent him a message. I said, hey, Alan, I'm going through it. I'm having these dark thoughts. I don't know what to do. And he said, Kev, so much has changed for you over the last few years, but your environment hasn't changed that much. Yeah. I think it's time to change your environment. And I left that job 3 or 4 months later and became a broke entrepreneur. And here we are 4 years after that. And we just crossed our 1,000th episode and all the accolades, quote unquote. But again, I have had more pain in the last 4 years than I have in the previous 28 for sure. Being an entrepreneur is the most challenging thing I've ever done by far. The most rewarding and fulfilling as well, but there has been challenges that have taken parts of me I will never get back.
Wow. What a way to start this off. Holy shit. So much to unpack there. Wow. It just goes to show, I could maybe just like comment that from your greatest pain can come your greatest power. And it just, yeah, it's like it sounds like you just had to face yourself and really face all the parts of yourself and be like, well, you have a decision here, Kevin. Are you going to stay at this job that makes you miserable? Or are you going to go after your dream? And most people, unfortunately, they stay where they're comfortable because it's terrifying to go after your dream. And I feel like I'm in the same boat. I'm working towards that same thing where I enjoy my job and make really good money, but I know deep down it's not what I want to do forever. Could I do it forever? Yeah, I could do it like part-time forever. I have other dreams as well. I don't want to put those to the side and think that, well, this is my one dream, but I do enjoy it right now. And there's parts of it that I really do enjoy and I really love, but it's not what I want to do forever. So I get what you're saying. That's one of the things that really inspired me. That's why I wanted to connect with you. Initially, I was like, man, this guy has had enough courage to be like, you know what, I'm going to go after it. I know that Alan has had a massive impact in your life. Would you be where you are today without him? And if the answer is no, how important is a mentor? And if somebody doesn't have that person in their life, what kind of advice would you give?
Yeah, I can tell you with 100% certainty that I would not be remotely close to where I am. When we recorded our 1000th episode, it's literally Alan and I crying through half of it because of how difficult this journey has been and how much we've learned and how we've been there for each other. There is 0% chance. And I wasn't always confident and humble enough to admit that. For a long time, I wanted to believe that I did this by myself and I'm self-made and all those things. And for me, I had to lean into humility. And I think that's one of the things stopping people from having mentors in their lives is either the humility to admit you need help or the humility to recognize your weaknesses. There's certain things I'm really good at. I'm a really consistent human being. Awesome. That's great. I'm really good at moment to moment, hour to hour, day to day. After that, like week to week, month to month, year to year, that's just not my strength. I don't have that kind of vision when it comes to goal setting. Alan does. So one of the things that has made me successful, quote unquote, is I am really good at admitting what I'm good at. And I'm probably even better, honestly, even better at admitting what I'm not good at. I struggle to take ownership for what I'm good at, but I try to just say, look, I suck at this. I'm just not good at this. This is not my area of expertise. Let me find somebody who knows. So the importance of a mentor is this. It fills the holes in your awareness and expertise that you might not even know are there. Somebody comes and looks into your life and says, okay, I have a higher awareness, I have more experience, and I have a higher understanding of what all this means. These are the pieces that you're missing. So I know you're working off the recipe of success, but you got to understand, like, I know you have the chocolate chips and I know you have the flour and the butter, but we got to put something in there that's going to make this rise when you put it in the oven. So you need baking soda or baking powder, whatever it is. I don't know. But just as an analogy, there's a recipe to success. There's a recipe to success. And you got to find somebody who has messed it up and they've actually been able to write down what that recipe is. The importance of a mentor is so valuable. And it's so, I think it's correctly stated in its importance. But one of the other major reasons is it helps you figure out your core values. As a human being, you have core values, you have core beliefs, and you have core aspirations. Your core aspirations are what you want out of your future. Your core beliefs are what you feel in the moment and your beliefs about humanity and the world. And then your core values are the things that keep you in alignment, right? So for me, being relatable is a core value for me. It just is. I love being relatable. I want to answer my DMs. When Aaron followed me, I sent him a video, right? I remember you said that, like, oh, I can't believe you sent me a video. That's just who I am. I want to do that. I don't have to do that, but I like that. I want to be a personable human being. That's one of my core values. So when you find mentors, I think that helps you figure out your core values. We've moved on from very successful mentors because their core values were not aligned with ours. And me putting my head on the pillow at the end of the night and saying I was able to show up as authentic Kevin, and I didn't have to try to fit any molds of people that I don't want to be, that's very powerful. And oftentimes you don't get those reality checks unless you have people ahead of you in your life.
I just think of integrity when you say that. So having integrity with yourself, and integrity. I think some of the movies that society loves most are all based on people having integrity and literally putting their life on the line for their integrity and for their core values, which is what you're saying. Like think about the movie Avatar, for example. He basically, the perspective around it is he betrays the human race for this other race that live on this planet, because he's like, well, this is right and what we're doing is wrong. And then you look at Lord of the Rings, the characters like Aragorn. He could have had the chance to be disloyal to the woman he loved, but he didn't. You look at movies like Gladiator. He literally, this is my name, this is who I am, and I know that by saying my name, I could possibly die. And it's just, when you say things like that, I'm like, it's all about integrity. Like going to bed at the end of the night, putting your head down on the pillow, like, did I live with integrity today? And we've all felt the feeling of the answer being no. I've felt that before. We're like, man, that wasn't me. That was me just trying to fit in with those people. And it's me that I need to work on. And when you say things like that, it's really, really cool. What kind of advice would you give to somebody that maybe doesn't feel like they have any really amazing mentors in their life, or doesn't feel like they can go to anybody? And obviously you had Alan, he was a very good friend of yours. And how would you say for somebody to find a mentor if they feel like they can't really find one and they feel like they would love to have one?
There's a bunch of different ways. I think obviously there's always money. So you can always pay somebody to mentor you. That's one. But I think a lot of people start off and say like, look, I'm trying to find something more organic. You have to figure out, how do you add value to somebody's life? That really is it's an exchange of energy. So what do I have of value that I can bring to your life or to your business or to your relationship, or I can save you time with? I think I don't know the full story and again, I don't even know if it's real because I saw it on social media, but one of the most famous and successful artists in the world, Pitbull, I'm pretty sure he worked for successful people for free just so he could be around people that were successful and understand what does success look like? What are some of the tips and tricks? So
he did. That's true.
Is that true? See,
yeah, yep.
Sometimes you see stuff on social media. It's like, look, I know there's a picture of Pitbull and there's a story. Maybe it's accurate or not, but I think that's a really important thing. Is you got to go into the interaction not asking what's in it for me. It's what can I put out? What can I put out here? And I think that's such an important aspect. So we had two really impactful mentors. Dave Meltzer was one and Evan Carmichael was another. We drove 6 hours to see Dave Meltzer speak. We missed him. He spoke early. We completely missed him. We told the person that was hosting the event that we went there to see Dave and we'd love to meet him. And she literally brought us over and said, he's doing a Q&A, go sit down with him. And we spent 3 hours in this group asking Dave questions. And we ended up connecting with him. He came to Boston. We rented a hotel room before we even knew if we could interview him. And we said, hey, can we interview you in Boston? And he said, yeah, you have 45 minutes. Boom. We go to the hotel. We set up all the equipment. We literally took one of the beds and stacked it on the other bed because it was a 2-bedroom hotel room. We messed this hotel room up. We put it back together. But he came in and something shifted when he came in because he was like, oh, these guys aren't messing around. They're not messing around. So he saw that we were invested, right? He saw that we were invested, but that was all based on us doing things with really no guarantee that it was going to work out.
A leap of faith by the sound of it. You just
very much a leap of faith, and one that we couldn't afford. I can't afford a $400 hotel room that early in the journey. Like that was on a credit card. And we were saying, I hope this works out. Evan Carmichael We interviewed him and we asked really good questions. And he was supposed to do a 20-minute interview with us, and he stayed on the phone with us for an hour, which was awesome. It was amazing. And he said, reach back out when you're on episode, I think 100. We reached back out to him. We interviewed him again, and he gave us an opportunity to drive out to Toronto, where he lives, and interview him in person for his YouTube channel. And we drove 10 hours, rented a hotel, drove 10 hours, brought all of our equipment and interviewed him. And then he ended up mentoring us for a short time. And I think you got to go above and beyond. You really got to set yourself apart, whether it's what you can bring to the table, whether it's your personality, whether it's your work ethic, whether it's your discipline. There has to be something that sets you apart from the rest of the crowd trying to get that person's attention. And then you just have to over deliver. There's a saying that people say, they say, under promise and over deliver. I believe it should be promise and over deliver. You don't under promise, you promise. You say, I'm going to do this, and then you do better. I'm going to do this, and then you do better. And I think you'll find that the people and the businesses in the world that are successful, the most successful, they do that. They promise and then they over deliver.
I love that. Promise and over deliver. It's true. Like, if you just be a person of your word and then go above and beyond what you said your word is going to be.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. Like, I think of Evan Carmichael, and I've followed that guy for a while. He's just Mr. Consistent. Like, I think he's been at it for like 12 years now. And I remember seeing his stats of his YouTube subscriber base. The first year was like 40. The next year was like 102. Then it was like 248. Then it was like 1,000. Then it was like 6,000. And eventually it's like the compound effect. A lot of you people, if you've read the compound effect, they have this question they pose: would you rather, I think it was $1 million or $2 million, or would you rather a penny that doubles every day for 31 days? And most people, they're like, oh, I'd rather $2 million. It's like, well, only in the last 3 days do you actually hit past $1 million in the 31 days. And I think you end up with like $6.4 million or something like that. But the first day, after 10 days, like, it's a penny, then it's 2 pennies, then it's 4 pennies, then it's 8 cents, and then it's 16 cents, and it's 32, then it's 64, then it's $1.28, and it's like 7 days in, and your buddy's got $2 million. Like, you got $1.28, bro. And like, I was going to ask you, like, how did that feel? You kind of already mentioned it. How did it feel hitting 1,000 episodes? Because I was going to ask you about that. I've looked at, I think 999 is released today, and I think 1,000 is released tomorrow, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
How did that feel?
In a lot of ways, it was surreal for me, because Alan and I have a running joke of nothing's ever as exciting for him as it is for me, because he already knew it was going to happen. So he was like, well, I knew we were going to get to 1,000 I wouldn't have started if I didn't intend. And I was like, I had no idea this was going to happen. This is awesome. So it's almost like I get the surprises and he knows it's going to happen. But for me, I think the biggest thing of it was, because it's really only one more episode than 999, but I'm a person who I value knowing where the ceiling is and where the floor is. And what I mean by that is, I was in the gym recently and I was benching 225. And I think I got it for like 6 reps. And I was like, I am weak as hell. Like, get your stuff together, Kev. What are you doing? And then I Googled how many people can actually bench 225 pounds.
Not many.
Not many. It's like 1% or something. And I was like, oh, wow, I'm actually pretty strong, all things considered. That shows me the ceiling of, like, the best bench press in the world is probably 800 pounds or whatever. And then the floor is like, oh, I'm actually way ahead of where I thought I was. The 1,000 episodes just shows me that we're way further along than most humans ever get. Really. I'm proud of it because we haven't missed an episode ever, which is great. And I'm, consistent, and that's awesome. But I think it's proof of, wow, we're actually building something that's way bigger than I ever realized. And even to your point, our first year, we had 1,024 downloads. We had 3,000 downloads the other day. So, like, to your point, in one day. Yeah.
Wow.
And all things considered, where we're going, that's not that many. But compared to, if you look at the graph of that, the first year is 1,000. Yeah. To your point about Evan Carmichael, it is the consistency. I mean, Evan Carmichael did 3 videos a day on YouTube for like 5 years. And that's just wild consistency. But then people see that he's successful and they're like, oh, well, he must have got lucky or went viral. It's like, no, watch his first video. If you don't know who Evan Carmichael is, go watch his first video. His first video was the success fundamentals on Walt Disney. And Evan is wearing a full suit for some reason. And it's like, if you watch the video, you'll say, oh, wow, okay. Yeah, this guy's come a long way. And I think that's the true measure of success is progress.
Yeah. And like you see who he interviews now, he just like gets on the phone with like some really big hitters. And like he gets invited to people to speak in front of groups like RT Syndicate, which is a group that Ed Milet and Andy Frisella have for entrepreneurs. And that thing, each event is like 20 to 40 grand just to attend or like to be a part of that program. Because one of my friends is an entrepreneur who was looking into that program. And these guys are asking people like Evan Carmichael to come and speak to their group of entrepreneurs. And he gets on the phone with Gary Vee and gets on the phone with Grant Cardone. And I was just like, cool, man, good for you. And like, and it just goes to show that you can get anywhere if you want to. And it's just like, by the way, guys, Kevin and his business partner, Alan, release a podcast episode every day with one per week being with a guest, right?
Not anymore. We actually moved away from guests.
Oh,
yeah, we moved away from guests. We were at the point where it's very hard to vet people in terms of like, I don't know what's real and what's not anymore. So, and this is the example I'll give you. And I don't mean any negativity around this, but didn't have the courage to express my truth at the time. We had somebody on the podcast, and this person is very manifestation spiritual, and I love that. I'm all for that. But this person basically said, well, I lost, when I got in alignment with my best self, I lost 30 pounds. The weight just melted off. And that's not the way it works. It's physiologically, the weight doesn't melt off. So I wish I, at the time, had the courage to say, well, did you make any lifestyle changes?
Of course I did.
Because it's a little misleading to say, well, I just started meditating and I got in alignment with my best self and I lost weight. Now, again, part of that is on me for not having the courage to deepen that conversation.
Yeah, because I know what you're saying. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, I don't want to break rapport live. Like, well, wait. Is that actually happen? So I think that for us, one of the benefits for us having guests was giving our community a different look at what's worked for other people until, and again, this is my perspective and my belief, until it seemed like we were kind of doing them a disservice, where it's like, this is not how this person got successful. Do you know how I know? Because I know them behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I know them behind the scenes. I know what they're actually doing. I know they make it seem like they're frolicking on the beach. They're not. I spent time with them. They're working all day. So it's not in alignment for me to show somebody's fake side when that's where you're trying to get value from. And I think that was very challenging for us. I want to make sure that we're providing the most value for our community. That's my goal. The podcast is not about me. I don't want to network with people. That's not why I started this. I started this so I could change people's lives. I don't network. I'm anti-network, honestly, probably to a detriment, but yeah. So that's why we don't have guests anymore.
That's cool. Yeah, I understand where you're coming from. And then I'm only like 18 episodes in, and I can see after 1,000 episodes, you'd be like, I've even felt it sometimes, especially if you talk to an entrepreneur, and I know that that's what your podcast was about. I know your mission statement was to provide a wholehearted, I'll let you say it. Yeah.
We actually shifted it a little bit, but it's heart driven, but no BS, holistic self-improvement for dream chasers. That's our brand.
That's cool. It used to be entrepreneurs. Last word, instead of dream chasers, used to be entrepreneurs. And if you're catering to entrepreneurs, they have to be everything there, including master salesmen. So if you get on a podcast, they're trying to expand their business, and then you don't know if you're getting their authentic, real self, which sometimes in this world, if you're your authentic, real self, and I've seen it in entrepreneurship and in business and in sales, people are scared that, well, that person won't want to buy my service or product. If I really tell the story of like, excuse me, of them being like, oh, I used to be a drug addict. Or I had this divorce with my wife and my kids, and it really messed me up. They don't want to go there. They want to like put on this, be like, oh yeah, my business is doing really well. We're helping thousands of people with my product and my service. And that's something I've been really wary of. I don't want to have a podcast where it turns into a sales pitch. Like, tell me, Kevin, about how your exclusive podcast offers. Well, Aaron, for $6.99 per month, we do everything. We put all the products together, and it's just a great service. How's it been working with me, Aaron? You know what, Kevin? It's been absolutely fantastic. Yeah. And like, I've heard podcasts like that, and you're just like, man, I know, I want to listen to some real shit. And I like it how that you and Alan have made that shift towards that, because
I went on a show recently, Aaron, and afterwards, it was a great interview. I was like, this guy's really good. And afterwards, he was like, so tell me about the podcast. Like, what's the point? Like, what's the point of your podcast? And I was like, impact. Like, our goal is to bring holistic self-improvement to the masses. That's it. That's our mission statement. And he's like, oh yeah, no, that's not why I started mine. I started mine in network. He's like, so he basically tried to like sell me on something. And I was like, wait, what do you mean? He's like, I don't really care that much about the listeners. Like, I just get the opportunity to interview people and then connect with them. And he's like, is there any way we can collaborate? And I said, no, that's not why I'm here. I'm not here to network. I'm not here. When people say like, where do you want people to go? I don't want you to give me money. I want you to listen to the podcast or whatever the easiest thing for you is, because it's about impact. It's always about impact. It's not about money. I didn't come on here to make money. I came on here to have impact, and because I love you and I very much enjoy talking with you. So yeah, I think it's the intention. People can sense your intentions, and whether you know it or not, people can sense your intentions. And if your intentions change the way you show up, then you're not going to be having the outcome that you actually want. And you might not know why, but your intentions are so powerful, whether you believe it or not, whether you feel it or not, even if they're subconscious, they're affecting everything you do.
What blew my mind is when I was asking about how many employees you have, and like, okay, well, how many people do you work with, like, that are helping you build this brand of Next Level University with Alan? And I'm like, how much do you spend per month? And you gave me a number. You're like, honestly, like, a lot of the people that we work with are volunteers. And I was like, wait a second, you what? And that just goes to show you wouldn't have people that want to be part of the movement you're trying to create and this community if you were trying to sell something, or if you were, for example, trying to be like this other guy, like, I don't give a shit about my listeners. I want to make money, or I want to connect. I want to do that. And then, like, that really was very interesting to me. I'm like, that is proof of everything you're saying. Like, that if you're authentic and you're not trying to be fake or take a different angle, or it's really just manipulation. When you come down to it, it is, if you take all the fluff off, it's manipulation. Yeah. And I don't make any money from this podcast. I mean, it'd be cool to make money from it one day. I mean, that's the goal. That would be cool. It's like one of the goals, but I spend money every single month making this podcast, and I enjoy it. I love doing it. I love having conversations like this. I love seeing the messages from friends and family, and sometimes people that I don't really know, like, hey man, that was a great podcast you did. Hey, I really appreciate that. Hey, I was having a shitty day and I listened to that, and now I bought Atomic Habits. And they text me a picture of how they're reading Atomic Habits. And I'm like, cool. Like, I can be that kind of, that connector to them making a decision for themselves. Because realistically, we can't change somebody's life. The only person that can change your life is yourself. And you got to be really careful of people that be like, I'll change your life. Like, I think that they can do it for you. But I believe that by listening to the right sources and then looking within oneself, you will have the tools to change your life. And that's what Kevin is doing. That's what he's done over 1,000 episodes. That's what I intend to do, is just like try to give you perspective that adds value to you, and the purpose is impact. Yeah. I love
you open the door. Yeah. I'm opening the door. If you want to come hang and do what we do, awesome. If not, and that's okay. This isn't for everybody. I think that's an important thing. And I think one of the things, and this is one of the things that I really enjoy about you and why I enjoy our conversations, is there's very little ego. I know you'll be successful. I mean, I know you're successful in life, but I know you'll be successful in whatever it is that you do because you have very little ego, and people resonate with that. We're not in the stage anymore where it's like, just yell at people and tell them they suck and say like, this is how you get better. If you don't buy this, you suck. Like I bought a book when I was trying to learn sales. I bought a book called The Closer's Survival Guide by Grant Cardone.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is going to be cool. I'm going to learn a lot. And literally, I am not kidding. There was one of the things where he's like, if somebody tells you no, this is the thing. Hey, Aaron, are you interested in purchasing this today? No, I don't think it's for. Do it anyway. Like what? That's the advice. That's the advice. So that's when I realized like, okay, you know what? I want to do things my own way. I want to do like, I'm not a salesman. I'm a human who's trying to add value. Mm-hmm. I had a client who said, hey, I'm going to go get a job at a car dealership. Do you have any tips for me on sales? I said, yes, I do. This is a beautiful young woman with an amazing personality. I said, number one, be yourself. Number two, add more value than anybody else in that dealership. And number three, when somebody tells you what they want, find a way to get it for them.
Yeah.
I guarantee you will be wildly successful because everybody has a feeling and an opinion and an experience with this that you can break. And if you can break the experience, you can change the experience for the good. And I just think that if you can be that in your life, you're going to get really good results. Just be different than everybody who's teaching people what to do that doesn't work.
One of my favorite books is The Go-Giver, and I know that you've read that book now.
Yes,
And I know
because of you.
Yeah, holy shit. What a book. I think that is a book that I think everybody should read, The Go-Giver. And then what I like about that book, it's written like a story. Sometimes people are like, oh, I don't like reading just because maybe the last book they read was a textbook in high school. And reading a textbook is not the same as reading a self-development book. It's not the same thing. And that book is a storybook, and it just talks about adding value. And it's just like, what am I trying to get? It's just like, you're not trying to get anything. You're simply adding value for the pleasure of adding value to people. And it's just like the story is about a salesman. He can't really understand. He's like, yeah, but like, what's the angle that I'm trying to add value at? It's like, so I can get what I want. And he's like, the mentor is like, you're not doing that. That's not the purpose of it. The purpose of it is just to add value. And he's like, wait a second. Like, that doesn't make sense. But at the end of the book, he ends up receiving all the things, all these beautiful rewards of life. And he didn't add value initially to get that, but it's just a byproduct of it. And they have this analogy, and I really love it. It's just like when we breathe out carbon dioxide, we are giving to trees. So our giving is their receiving, and the trees then give us oxygen. So it's this cyclical process, and that's how the world works. If you put out good stuff, like, it's crazy where you'll be. You'll be at 1,000 episodes because you're just like, when you were sitting on that hotel bed being like, fuck, man, like, I don't know if I want to be here anymore. If I just end my life right now, I won't have these 10 different television things going on all at the same time that just makes me feel like I'm a manic, crazy person. I've felt that before, where it's just like your brain is just like, it's like a strobe light. It's just nuts. And it's just like every single flash of the strobe light is a new image, and half of it is like really negative, probably more than half, like 80 to 90% is negative. And there's one be like, oh, maybe, what if you did do it though? What if you did do it? And you're like, oh shit, man. Like, and to get from that point, sitting on that hotel bed, to doing 1,000 episodes and having this community, and it's like, you don't have to get up at 1 a.m. to drive 6 hours to a shitty construction site in the winter when it's snowing, and it's like, oh God.
I try to think about that. I'm a human being. The law of familiarity creeps in. I forget how blessed I am. I do. Full disclosure. Same. I do. Yeah. And but I think that's what the 1,000th episode really did. It gave me that perspective of like, oh, I remember episode 1 like it was yesterday. I don't remember a lot of them just because there's been so many, but I remember early on when it was like, it almost didn't matter. It was just like, yeah, we're going to do this and see what happens. But in the weird, like the weirdest way, it's just so much nostalgia. It's just so much nostalgia. I remember where this just like, it wasn't even a big deal. And now it's like everything. It's like weird how that can shift over the course of 5 years. And I don't know if I've told you this, Aaron. Episode 7 I recorded by myself back in the day because I had the podcast by myself. And this was at the point where I hated my job and I was not interested in doing it anymore. And episode 7 was called Chase Your Effing Dreams. Chase Your Fucking Dreams. I'll say it because this is explicit. And that episode was me talking about how in the future, I wanted to wake up when I want. I wanted to podcast with amazing people. I wanted to go to the gym when I want. I wanted to be my own boss. And I wanted to have time to pour into my relationships. And that is my life now. And that, I think that's like the biggest thing is like, oh, in a way I've kind of made it. Now, you know, we haven't accomplished all of our goals and that's what keeps us going. But yeah, I think it's just, it proves that everybody who said we were crazy they were mostly wrong. They were definitely right in a lot of ways because I think it is crazy, but not in the ways that I think I felt hurt me.
Yeah, because I mean, when you share your goals with somebody, what it does is it holds up a mirror to them and be like, that's all it is. When people shit on your goals and people are like, I have haters, it's really, you're just showing their lack of ambition to themselves. And what people do and what happens, it's happened to me, it's happened to a lot of people, is you listen to these people and you're like, oh, maybe I can't do it. Maybe it's not realistic. People that want to shut down your dreams, they love using that word. Well, Kevin, is that realistic? Like, is that, how many other people have done that? There's a story that I love that I read in a book, and it's a story of 2 salesmen, and they came from Boston, right? And they both sell shoes. And they go to this little island. I think it's like, I don't know, it's like there's a bunch of lakes around there. There's a little island off the coast or whatever. There's a little village there. And the first salesman gets there. He calls back to the office and he's like, hey, like, send me back on the next ferry. There's no point in me being here. Nobody wears shoes. Nobody's going to buy these shoes. The second salesman calls back in just frantic excitement. Hey, send me more shoes. Send me 1,000 pairs. Nobody wears shoes here. It's just the difference in perspective. And it's the difference in, and you'll come across people like that will be like, well, how many people really wear shoes? How many people really do 1,000 podcasts? How many people really make that bodybuilding show? How many people really make that amount of money? How many people do you know that have really made it past 3-4 years in a relationship? How many marriages really work out? Less than 50% now.
Yeah.
And people, you'll get that everywhere you go. And you can either listen to them or you can listen to your intuitive self. But to really find out your intuitive self, you have to get to know yourself. And how you get to know yourself is by doing hard things, whether or not that is through the gym, whether or not that is doing a podcast and being an entrepreneur. And like you said, it's probably been the hardest 4 or 5 years of your life. It's like, because you run up against yourself, like life will just show you shit. It's like, hey, you're like, man, why is nobody listening to your podcast? It's like, maybe because you're a shit speaker.
That was a fact.
It's
that
like,
is a fact.
and it's like this jagged pill to swallow. You're like, oh, it's me. And it's all you. Like, I've felt that before. It's like, why am I not getting this? Like, it's probably you. That's what I think I've shared this with you before. I love martial arts because if you keep getting put in the same thing, if you keep getting caught with an overhand right over and over again, well, it's with different partners. It's not that everybody's like, you know what? Kevin's here. Just throw overhand rights at him.
No.
Hey, everybody's texting before. Hey, Kevin's going to be showing up today. Throw that combination. No, that combination is hitting you in the face over and over again because you're not doing something.
Yeah.
Same in life. Like, you keep getting hit with the same combination. It's like, well, why does my bank balance still look the same? Why am I still chubby? Why do I have all these ex-girlfriends and they all end up having the same kind of issues? It's you. And that's a hard thing to swallow. And that's what I really respect about you is you've had to go through all this shit and be like, bodybuilding probably taught it initially, and then becoming a foreman at your job, you had to work very hard. You had to face yourself, and you were putting in more work than other people, which gave you a certain level of success. And then you transition there, and now you're doing this, and you have to face yourself again. It's just what we constantly have to face ourselves. Maybe speak to that a little bit, like the difference between like the victim mentality, which is you're not facing yourself, and then the kind of growth mentality, and how important that is for people. And I was going to say, what would you say to the people with a victim mentality? They're not listening to this.
True.
They're not going to, because they would have turned it off by now, because they would be like, well, I don't agree with that. and they would have gone back to whatever they were listening to.
Yeah. I think to your point, I think it's super important I think action's the cure all. I really do, because I believe that I used to have a victim mentality. And I think the reason is because I didn't have a lot of belief in myself. And when you don't have belief in yourself, you have to put reasons and excuses on why you can't accomplish things. And again, that's my experience, but, and I've lived that. Same. And it would very much be like, I probably wouldn't like you, Aaron. I would probably see your stuff and be like, yeah, he's got a nice car. Like, seems like he's got a great relationship. He's doing cold dips in this like spring in the middle of nowhere. He's going to jujitsu in the middle of the day. Like, what is this guy up to? And I probably wouldn't like you because you would be a mirror of what I wish I had. So number one, it's the awareness. And I think it's checking with the ego. That's super important. But you have to, if you don't believe in yourself, you have to take action. Action is the cure all, because it will show you that you're more capable of you than you actually believe. And on the other end, action, if you are entitled, action will beat the entitlement out of you. I have very little entitlement because I've been broke, very broke, like beyond. They let you go past zero. They'll keep taking money. They don't care.
Oh yeah.
Right. So it takes that entitlement out of you, and that action is so important for you to have proof. We look at the most recent and relevant proof as human beings. I have a podcast right after this. I am going to go into it really well, feeling good because I think I did well here. But if I crap this out, I might go into that and say, oh boy, I hope I don't screw this up, because I'm looking at the most recent, last relevant podcast. And I think human beings do that. So I think that if you have a victim mentality, you first have to figure out where it comes from. And more often than not, it's at one point in your life, you were probably a victim. But that doesn't mean you're always going to be. It doesn't mean you always have to be. You can rewrite that part of your story, but it does have to do with you becoming the hero. And heroes and guides take action. You have to take action. I've been doing 5-minute rounds, like mixed martial arts circuit. And you commented on my story the other day, and it's the most humbling thing in the world. It's like I'm having cramps at the end. I have to lie down after the 5th round. But when I get up, I feel really good after. It's like I handled that. Was it a challenge? Yes. Was there a ton of adversity? Yes. But I accomplished that. And if you feel like you have a victim mentality, a victim mindset, you have to set some goals, small goals. And then you have to prove to yourself that you're capable of over delivering on what you believe. And then on the other end, if you think you're a hero and you don't have to do anything, you need to get humbled. That's why martial arts is so wonderful. You know,
get humbled. That's what I love about it.
Right. You know, the people who come in and they're like, oh, I'm a street fighter. This is going to be fine. It's like, no. This is different, man. There's no triangle chokes in street fights. Like, this is different. Jiu-jitsu is a different monster. And they either get humbled and say, okay, never mind. Yep, I was wrong. Or they leave and they say, this isn't for me. And that furthers either the victim or the empowered mindset. And it's like that forever.
I've met people like that. I've seen them, like dudes come in just on steroids, jacked. And you see girls beat them. You see women beat them who are 50 pounds lighter than them.
Yeah.
And you see them get really down. And sometimes they come back. I really respect the people that come back over and over and over again. It's like, good for you. Because I was that guy. I did steroids in my early 20s, but I did jiu-jitsu at the same time. And like, I was humbled by people. And I remember like when anytime you feel like you kind of got, you know what, I'm feeling pretty good. I kind of tapped out a purple belt the other day and a white belt. That shouldn't even happen. And then some blue belt chick just like arm bars you over and over again. You're like, oh shit, man. Like, I've found in life, like when you don't feel like doing it, I'm not talking about when you're like dead tired and you need a rest. We live in a society that that promotes like grind it out 18 hours a day. It's like, doesn't matter if you get a divorce, doesn't matter if you're tired. It's like, no, like I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the times where you're like, you get home from work, you're like, I might not go today. I always go on those days, and they're usually always the best sessions. It's crazy what happens. It's wild. And then sometimes the days that I go, I'm like, yeah, I'm feeling really good today. I'm feeling great. Like I'm just going to go crush it. And you go there and you just have like, you're just not there. Like you're not dialed in. And it just goes to show you that I'm not saying it doesn't matter how you feel. You got to be really, that's why you have to know oneself. If you need a rest and you're like, hey man, I need a rest. Like today, I kind of need a rest. I've been training hard this week. I can feel it in my body. I'm like, I'm going to have a little rest today, and that's fine. I'm not lazy. I'm not a piece of shit for having a rest. I used to have that before. And that was a lot of stuff, like a lot of trauma that I had to really work on. And now I get to the point I'm like, no, man, like you're not a piece of crap because you have a day off. It's okay. You're not a bad human being. But yeah, like I've always found that your emotions and these feelings will get in the way of you discovering who you are. And that's what the victim mentality is. It's just like what Kevin was speaking to. I know you're probably speaking about really small goals. People are like, a small goal is like set an alarm for 5 minutes from when you normally get up.
Yep.
Turn the shower to cold for 10 seconds just to feel the discomfort of it. Like in the Atomic Habits, the book is like, he had a guy that would just show up to the gym, to the door, and then go home. Then he would walk in the door, then he would go home. Then he would walk in the door, go on the treadmill, stand on the treadmill, then he would go home. And then he would do 1 minute on the treadmill, then 2 minutes, then 5 minutes, then 10 minutes. And eventually he was doing an hour gym sessions because he started off small, because that's where he was at.
Yeah.
Now,
sustainability.
Exactly. I know we've only got 5 minutes because I want to be really respectful of your time. I wish I had more time with you, but maybe we could run it back another time.
I'm happy to do it again, whatever you want, brother.
Yeah, like I know that some of your listeners will probably listen to this, and I know that my listeners will too. And I've told a lot of people about you, but like, what are some closing thoughts? Like what is the message that you feel that is on your heart right now that you just want to share? Like, what are you learning lately? What are you discovering within yourself lately that you just is really on the forefront of who you are right now that you want to share?
Two quotes I live by that I think encapsulate the things that I've learned probably better than anything else. The first one is a question. And we didn't talk about this. I'm happy. Maybe next time we can jam on this, but are the people in your life the best from your past or the best for your future? A lot of us have people in our lives because we used to do this. We used to be this. We used to go here. We used to practice this. My question to you is, are they helping you get to your future? Are they helping you get to your goals? If not, it's at least worth taking a look. I do not wear the same shoes I wore in high school. My feet have grown and I have different goals now. And I think obviously people aren't shoes, but as an analogy, when we need things for growth, we get new things, and relationships are similar. And reallocate time. You don't have to cut people out. And then this is what I would say for an overarching theme. Your reality becomes the parts of your imagination that you hold on to and pour into the longest. That is what the 1000th episode means to me. My reality is my reality because I held on to the belief that it could be, and I poured into that thing every single day. And the people who have their dream lives, I believe, are the ones who probably, some people get lucky. Yeah. But they're probably the ones who held that in and said, look, this is my dream. You will not take this from me. No matter what, I will hold on to this, no matter what storms, no matter what thunder, no matter what lightning, no matter what hardships, I will continue moving towards this ultimate goal. So those are the two quotes I would end with.
Wow. That second one gave me goosebumps. Yeah, it's like whatever you stay in your mind, it becomes familiar. Therefore, the world, the universe, whatever it is, whatever power you want to call it, God, universe, whatever, it has a way of, and that is true with negative thoughts too.
Mm-hmm.
Why are negative people always having negative things happen to them? Because they expect it to.
Yeah.
And then it perpetuates the belief that the world is crap. And then the people who have positive things and who positively have really great things happen to them, it's like, oh, that guy's lucky. It's like, no, it's just operating on a different vibrational frequency, and we can all do it. We can all get there. So thank you, man. Appreciate
You're
your
welcome,
time.
Brother.
I'm going to leave you with that 1 or 2 minutes to grab some water before your next podcast.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I love you, man.
Love you too, dude. Love you, man.
You're a blessing. I appreciate this conversation. I appreciate you, and I'm happy to come back anytime you want.
Thank you very much. And how to follow him will be in the show notes. He's Never Quit Kid on Instagram. His podcast is Next Level University. Podcast released every single day. Go follow him and go listen to him. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you, brother.
Bye.